The new movie Concussion is generating a lot of buzz about how this injury affects athletes, especially in our children. Joining us now with more is Dr. Irfan Chhipa. He's a non-operative sports medicine physician at the Rothman Institute. What are the sports that have the highest incidence in concussion that you see?
So in males, football is the most common sport, and in females, soccer is the most common sport.
What are the symptoms of a concussion? How do we know if our kid has one?
So typically the most common symptom is a headache, but although they can present with many symptoms, they could have a dazed look, they could be dizzy, they could be fatigued. They usually generally look out like they're out of it. It doesn't always have to be a direct hit to the head. There could be just a jerking motion of the neck that can create concussion.
What do we need to do to treat a concussion?
So the most important thing to understand for athletes and parents is that if there's a suspected concussion, they have to stop play. The reason for that is because there's a syndrome called second impact syndrome. And what that is if a patient who has a concussion gets another hit to the head, they can get swelling of the brain, which can be fatal. And that's why we pull them out of the sport right away. And in terms of diagnosis, we ask about their symptoms, we do testing such as their balance, and we do a neurologic exam, and we typically have to allow the brain to rest and recover.
And how do we know when an athlete can return to his or her sport?
We follow them in terms of their symptoms and their cognitive ability, and when they are asymptomatic, we do certain neurocognitive tests on the computer that will show us if the reaction time is back to normal, if there's memory back to normal, and we can compare that to their baseline test. And then after that, we start them on a graduated return to play protocol because we don't want them to return right back to sports. So they go through a stepwise process to make sure that they don't have any symptom reproduction through every step of that process.
Well, it's really scary for parents, so thank you for that great information, Dr. Irfan Chhipa of the Rothman Institute, and you're living well with Robin Stoloff on today's Light Rock.